Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to go over Bloodfire #1 from Lightning Comics from 1993. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. It's a full-size, full-color anthology that I produce with a bunch of other artists every month. It is like I said, it's a monthly comic book. And you can get this at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. And we're also going to be having a website very shortly, very shortly, next week, I believe. And but this issue has me, Jeremy Duncan, Paul Corjon, Astor D, Jamie Barrows, Grimm, Nick Marino, and Francisco Gruel. And the cover artist is Jack Jr. And it's a lot of really fun, great storylines. Mine has more of the Forlorn for anybody that has been into checking out the Forlorn and doing some stuff with that. And Jamie Barrows, Brawls on Bad Street. Brawls on Bad Street. I said Brad Street. In color. So check it out. Become a member or wait for it to be on the website, which will be probably next month. Man, I kind of just woke up from a nap, so there you go. I'm brain addled as it is. So which leads into Bloodfire #1, like I said, from Lightning Comics, and it's 1993. So I've had some debates with people, not really debates, just more discussions about what power comics are. And I kind of feel like this is a power comic. I'm not entirely sure. If you guys have some theories as to what a power comic is, let me know. I definitely know that they're trying to be Image. They're trying to be Rob Liefeld. They're trying to be Jim Lee, and they're trying to be all of this stuff. And do they hit the mark? I'm not entirely sure. I kind of feel like all of that stuff might be power comics as well. Image is our Image comics power comics? I don't know, but I mean, there's a lot of room for discussion, and I don't know if we'll ever nail down exactly what Power Comics is or isn't. I do know one of the things that they're talking about is they're changing from marker color to digital color, and as much as I love marker color, is it as professional? Is Power Comics a derision of not being professional or not? I don't know that either. I don't have an answer for that either. But we're going to kind of narrow things down. Maybe I'll get a pad of paper and we'll just talk about that. Maybe I'll get some other Power Comics artists and we'll kind of discuss it. I can maybe narrow it down a little bit. But let's jump into this. Let's look at the cast of creators first. Bloodfire, created by Joseph A. Ziskowski. You guys know how I am with names, and unfortunately, I'm going to butcher all of them. Plots by Joseph A. Ziskowski and John Mazag. Script by Joseph A. Ziskowski. Penciler and costume design, Julius Octavian Jackson. Inker, Frank Parr. Letterer, James M. Anderson. Colorist, Joe Ziskowski. Color assistant, Kelly Marshall. Editor Joe Sazowski, and marketing Stephen V. Sazowski. Don't really like it when an editor is the writer is also the editor. I feel like to be an editor, you need to have a little bit of distance from the artwork and from the writing. Let me know what you guys think about that. Can an artist and or a writer be their own editor and be truly successful? I kind of feel like how they say you can't psychoanalyze yourself because when you think of your own weaknesses or whatever, you're going to gloss over some of those things or strengths or whatever. You're not going to see some of the imperfections because you might not see them as an imperfection. You might think of, being very courageous. You could think you're being super courageous, whereas you're just deflecting or, doing something like that. But anyway, let's jump into this and see what we see. Let's read the first page as we like to do, just to kind of get into it. A lone figure rushes through the hot South American jungle. Once he was a normal man, but government treatments made him more. He is Bloodfire, sent by the United States to prevent the communist takeover of a newly formed democratic government, Bloodfire's mission is to lead a team of native soldiers and guarantee the assassination of the opposition's leader, General Duarte. Unfortunately, nothing ever goes planned. Funny, me and a bunch of the random access guys were just talking about Chuck Norris, and this sounds like pretty much every Chuck Norris movie ever made. So we've got a basic plot of an assassin or a Captain America, dark Captain America / Punisher. So then he goes into this village and it's all burning up, and the marker work is kind of nice. But we'll get back to that, the color and the artwork and stuff like that. He leans down or he kneels down and he sees somebody who's been shot or whatever. And then somebody comes out of the shadows and kind of, he doesn't attack him. I'm not entirely sure exactly what happens here, actually, now that I think about it. Bloodfire knows the massacre must have happened only minutes before his arrival. The enemy could still be near. Suddenly, Bloodfire notices a slight movement. So he is off in the bushes. He doesn't know Bloodfire's there. He's just kind of doing something, looking at a map, whatever, and Bloodfire sucker punches him and sucker kicks him and takes his map and to find the enemy's rendezvous point. So that's basically what happened. I kind of had to slow things down and kind of really figure out what was going on. One of the good things about the book is that it's not very confusing. It's a pretty simple plot, but it's also, some people can also make plots kind of confusing. He goes to the helicopter where apparently they're supposed to have a rendezvous, and then he throws a rock. That ought to create a distraction. Oh, all right. So we have the helicopter here. Somebody is guarding the helicopter. He throws the rock to distract him, and then he sucker punches him again. He jumps through the helicopter and hits him, and he carries him away. But he leaves some plastic explosives, beep, 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 and explodes. Boom, 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 boom. And then we realize who the bad guys are because we're told. Skyhawk, do you copy? Over. Skyhawk, do you copy? Over. Captain, I have visual. Skyhawk is gone. Over. Roll call. Tag here. Ross here. Dragon here. Lewis here. Lewis or Lois? Lewis. Shots, do you copy? Over. Shots, do you copy? Over. Looks like the job is about to become a lot more interesting. No doubt whoever took out Shots is using his radio to listen in on us. A communication switch and lock code silent scramble on my command. Apparently, was this before the explosion? I thought this was during the explosion, or maybe it's after the explosion. I'm going to assume that this is before the explosion. The explosion happens and he's carrying away. These are all the bad guys, by the way. Whoever you are, your luck is just run out now. Scree! Plink. This is a cool little scene. He has the bad guy tied up to a tree and he's gagged, and he gives him a grenade, puts him in his hands behind him, and takes off and leaves the scene, or kind of leaves the scene. The bad guys come upon the tied up, what's his name? Cole? Shots. Do you copy? Over. Shots. Do you copy? I think this is Shots. So he's smiling. Wait, we got a chopper. But then instead of him trying to save Shots, what do we need with a pilot? So he's the pilot that was guarding the helicopter, and then he was taken away, put the grenade in his hand. He was stabbed by the big bad guy. The grenade drops, and there's an explosion. Boom! Three more are dead. 3 down, 3 to go. So apparently there's 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're all straight there. Captain, I have a visual confirmation. Ross, Tag, and the pilot are gone. Whenever you've got a panel like this, you don't really know what to do with it. So there, I would have had the word balloons down here connecting these or over here connecting this. I think it was here, here, here. So, but a panel configuration like that is often very confusing, and that's why a lot of people use the arrow. Some people would use the arrow to go here or here. I feel like it should automatically be from top to bottom to right, especially if there's a loose amount of space where you can kind of go off onto the next page. But I think, like I said, I think it's top, bottom here. And when you read it, Captain, I have a visual confirmation. Ross Tag and the pilot are gone. Whoever this guy is, he's really ticking me off. I need to do more of that, do more than that. So the dialogue makes sense for this. If anybody read it this way, which I think a lot of people probably did, and then they had to backtrack and reread stuff. As you know, I really hate that. So if they'd used the arrow, that would have been one thing. I wouldn't like it. I much would have rather seen this down here and the tail from the word balloon going up to his mouth, and then this going over to here. So you would have known exactly where to go. The word balloons would have carried the dialogue and where to go and what to read first. He fights Dragon, obviously. I need to do more than that. He catches him kind of unawares. He even tap him? No. He pulls his head thing off. There's a lot of little minutia kind of things going on here. Maybe this isn't a power comic, because power comics are usually kind of confusing, but that's doesn't really make the grade of what a power comic is. So confusion. So let's let that rest. Dragon doesn't hesitate to seize the opportunity and the advantage, kicks him in the throat, and then Bloodfire swipes him, smashes him in the face, or so it seemed. So we're going to go back to the art, like I said, after this. We're going to look at the writing and look at the art. So he's fighting this dragon guy, and then this other guy comes up to him. Do it, and you're next. He's got a gun on him, I guess, and they're not having a knife fight. Don't bring a knife fight to a gunfight. Time to unmask our party crasher. I always knew our paths would cross again. Reese, you killed 3 of my men. Of course, this is a paid assignment, and with their deaths, our take of the money increased. But the chopper, Reese, that will be expensive to replace, and you are going to pay. Lights out, Reese. So he grabs his mask, gently pulls it behind him, and says all of this stuff. And he's Reese, just like Terminator. He's knocked out, and then he wakes up to a slap by, what's his name? A slap by that guy. I don't know. Skyhawk? Is that Skyhawk? I don't know. I'm not sure. But he wakes up to a slap, and then there's another guy there, and there's Dragon, and they're all kind of talking. This next few pages are very, very typical. He's a United States military guy. These guys are mercenaries, so he's kind of saying, I can't believe you became a mercenary, even though I saved your life. I can't tell whether he saved his life or he saved his life, because they have kind of a little bit of dialogue about that. But Bloodfire says that I saved your life, I think. And, well, wait, no, it says it here in one of these narration boxes. But they go back and forth, what's better, to be a mercenary or to be a U.S. soldier, and what you're fighting for. You're fighting for money. And this guy, Skyhawk, I think maybe, is saying that it doesn't matter who pays, we do the job, blah, 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 blah. Very typical, especially comic books, but also 80s movie stuff. Like I said, we were talking about Chuck Norris in the Random Access chat, and we were talking about how all of his movies, he's kind of stony acting and all of that stuff, which I pointed out was probably due to the writing, or also due to the writing. So you've got to have a good script in order to get a good performance sometimes, but also it's very tropish and it's very typical. This is it's kind of the same thing over and over again. This is from 1993. So what's tropish there might not be as tropish as it is now. I mean, that was like 30 years ago. So 33 years ago. So that's, a while ago. So what's tropish then might not be tropish now, or vice versa, or whatever. Stick around, Captain. All right. So they tie him up. They're going to leave, and he wants them to kill him. He's got superpowers, flame hands, some kind of energy from his hands, because remember he was changed by the government. And stick around, Captain, because I'm just getting started. And then he uses his powers to kill or knock out all of these other guys. And it's really, I'm impressed with the action and the fight scenes and stuff. Stormin, that's Stormin. Is his name Stormin Skyhawk? No, they said his name anyway before this. I can't find it. It's not that big a deal. But he grabs him, pulls him back, punches him in the gut, punches him in the face, and pretty much says, "That's the end." So he ties him up and leaves a little explosion thing. So when one of his cronies goes to open the door, it blows up. He's very into blowing up stuff, whether it's the helicopter or this hut or whatever. And then so we've got this other guy who is General Duarte. This is Miguel. We got trouble. So he is part of the general's Communist Party, trying to take over this capitalist democracy or whatever. I'm not entirely sure. I think. But this is General Duarte. Let's just read the rest of this. Damn, in less than an hour I became the next Presidente. Nothing must jeopardize that. You mean remain here in case that American Diablo comes after me? After me. Not question marks, exclamation points. He breaks through the window and starts attacking the bad guys. They have a little fight scene, and then he grabs Duarte, puts a pistol in his mouth, and blows his head open. And his guards are coming chasing after him. Bang, bang, bang. He shoots them with their gun. They go flying, and but the rest of them are attacking him. He gets away, and he runs out into the jungle, and there's a chopper there that is circling over, and they make a little bit of a mention that if he's not where he's supposed to be, they're going to keep circling until they find him. And he shoots up a flare, but he's tagged by somebody as he's taking off. He makes it to the helicopter, and the guys in the helicopter attack back with their machine guns, and then says, "Glad you made it back in one piece, Bloodfire. Reese, be here next issue for Bloodfire's shocking origin." So I opened this. I didn't realize that it was Lightning Comics when I first got it. Lightning is all color, so that actually kind of takes away from whether or not it's a power comic. I think maybe I'll have a list of things that are a power comic, and we'll check them down. We'll check them off, and if they have enough check marks or not check marks, then it'll be a power comic. So we can kind of figure out what is what. That is what I'm going to do. So anyway, I kind of don't think it is a power comic, because when you go back and you look at the writing, it's really not that bad. It's definitely on par with any of the Image stuff, and maybe even better, because there's not a lot of confusing things going on, and the writing is, yes, it's very matter of fact. It's very plain. All of the characters have the same way of talking. Nobody has their own voice. It's very action oriented, action star. No, there's not a lot of emotion going on in any kind of way with what's going on. And there's a lot of tropish stuff, like I said. And is tropish stuff bad writing? That's another thing that we should talk about at some point, because there was a writer that I watched an interview a little while ago, and he said bad writing is using tropes like we're not in Kansas anymore. Is using not in Kansas anymore, is that bad writing? I'm not necessarily thinking that it is. I mean, this is a specific genre. It's an military action superhero genre. So if it fits the genre and it's a trope that fits into the genre, then is it poor writing? Because I don't think so. The plot, very simple. This good guy going into the jungle to kill the bad president. Super simple, but that's okay, because there's enough trials and tribulations and different kind of things that go along that even if the dialogue, I didn't love the dialogue, and the dialogue's okay. I'm not really knocking it down any points because of the dialogue. If anything, I'm not really knocking the writing down for anything, because super simple plot, but that's okay. I'm not knocking it down for that. And also there's some situations like he blows up the helicopter, grabs this guy, puts him on a tree, and puts a grenade, has him hold a grenade. So he's setting a trap. So he's got the 2 or 3 different traps that he set, which are interesting, unique. I hadn't seen it before. There's so there's a little bit of different stuff. There's a little bit of uniqueness to it that not a lot, mind you. A little bit of uniqueness to it that I really kind of appreciate, and I kind of think that it has more uniqueness than the image stuff, because the image stuff is very matter-of-factly event. Nothing really new. There's a couple of new things in here that I really kind of appreciate. As for the artwork, I think this is a younger artist. This Julius Octavian Jackson, and I feel like I don't think he's done a lot of stuff since then. I've looked him up, and maybe does he do more issues? Anybody out there want to let me know if do you have all 13 or 15 or whatever issues of Bloodfire? Is he the same artist in all of them? And does he get progressively better? Because if he's a young artist, he's going to realize some of the mistakes that he's done, hopefully, and correct them. Some of the things that I do kind of like the action, although it's kind of condensed, but that's okay, because the panels aren't too big, they're not too small. So he's got a lot of that stuff going on. He does have some close-ups. He's got some nice traditional shots. He doesn't have a establishing shot, which I would have liked, but it's kind of establishing because you see the jungle, and it's a little bit jungly there. But he doesn't have a lot of different variation in types of shots, but it's enough so that it's not completely boring. It doesn't look like talking heads, but also there's not a lot of moving the camera angle around. There's a little bit, and I do appreciate the times that he does that. Like, this is a side shot, and then he's got him running towards the camera, and then he's got a close-up of this. And then there was another one in here that I was really kind of appreciating. This stuff, super hard for everybody. I don't have an easy time of it either. Some really nice perspective of all of the backgrounds would have gone a long way. And then the characters, yes, he is a close-up, a medium shot, and a long-range shot or a background shot. Character, yes, that is good, but it's really kind of not interesting. So a lot of the stuff, the way that he's doing the layouts and the of everything for the panels and all of that stuff, is not the greatest. I think that that's something that you get as you age and you read more comics, you see more variety and different types of things going on. I do like sometimes he's got some white. I do like that, especially because let's see, where was the page where I really enjoyed the here's a bird's eye view close up. Really close up of his, or not really close up, but a close up of his face, his eyes widening. He doesn't want this to happen. Opening the door, explosion. So the narrative art aspect is really good, except for that one page where it's got the 3 panels, which a lot of people have a hard time with it. This shouldn't have been done this way, or the word balloons could have corrected it or something. But other than that, and I wasn't confused because I read it in the correct order, but I think a lot of people would have read it differently. But saying that, the narrative art is actually pretty good, because I've never once had to reread anything because I was confused because of the art and how the story was going or anything like that. And he does have some variety. He's got this overhead view. He's got this what is kind of a worm's eye view a little bit. And then he's got this action scenes, which are pretty good. As you know, I like in my fight scenes, I like the build up, the actual hit, and then the ending But that, using 3 panels to create an action scene is often not what you can do. You maybe don't have the space, you don't have the inclination or whatever. So, but this is good because I knew exactly who was hitting who was getting kicked, who was getting punched, exactly how they were doing it, and everything like that. I like this panel. I like this panel a lot. So I think that he is probably young, and it probably looks better. I kind of don't like marker art. I'm glad that I got away from it. Sometimes it's really good, but like this, I think this is nice. But then when you see a face and it's kind of splotchy, the splotchiness of our markers, I really kind of don't like, and I'm not really appreciative of that. The only real thing that I don't like about the artist is that, yes, he's got some texture. He's got texture in everything. He's got the leaves. He's got the bark and the dirt, but it all looks the same. His texture really needs some work. He could have used some different bark variety. He could have used some different sand variety. Everything is just kind of a scratching line, scratching line, scratching line, scratching line. Again, as you age as an artist and as you become older, you don't put in all of these lines. You put in just some of it, and then you let the positive and negative space do its job, and you're not always depending on all of this scritch everywhere. It's all of this line work that really doesn't need to be there, and I much rather would have been kind of like this. He could have totally done this in using all of his line work, but he chose to do this shadowing silhouette kind of thing, and I appreciate that. Not everywhere, not all the time, don't overuse it, but it's certainly got its place, and so does his stuff here. One of the other things is he's got all of this scritching line work, and but he doesn't have a light source. You really need to have doesn't have to be a strong light source, but it does. You should use a light source of some sort when you're inking your stuff, and especially if you're doing all of this intense line work on a tree or something. It really would have helped to have a stronger light source, so you knew exactly. It would give it some more depth, because really that's one of the things that you're wanting to do, especially in this kind of thing. It's an action comic. You want to add depth to it. You're not trying to be subtle with anything. You're trying to build a world, build a universe, and that these guys are living in. Look at this. Look at all of this. It's overly done. There's not any positive negative space. It's just a little bit too much. There's no shadows or shading. I suppose you could call this shadows, but it's just a little bit too much. It's not defined texture. I think you really kind of need some defined texture. Let's see if we can come up with an example of some defined texture, like this stuff. Astor D's, he has some great texture. This is like his wall or whatever, but he's got different kind of textures here. And I know it's different. It's a different type of comic. It's a different type of thing completely. Great texture here with Paul Courtjohn stuff. But so you want to have, a variety of textures, and that's the thing. You want the variety of textures and not just be the same single kind of scritch everywhere. And gives it some depth, some orientation, and all of that stuff. So anyway, what am I going to give this Bloodfire #1? Not my type of thing. This is definitely not my type of thing. Definitely more of an image kind of storyline. But do I knock it down for that? I'm going to try not to. The art, the story, the writing is pretty simple. But it tells a complete story, and it's not completely uninteresting or unentertaining. One of my friends said that they were disappointed by it. Maybe if you go back and read Bloodfire again, maybe you might be in a different headspace, because sometimes you read something and it's not good, or you don't think it's good, you don't appreciate it simply because it's a headspace that you're in and you can't appreciate something. But I enjoyed the story as far as I could, it being what it is. I do knock it down a little bit for the writing, as far as not having any kind of characterization, not having any kind of each person doesn't have their own way of talking. They've got their, nobody's a Southern accent, or this guy totally could have been like, I don't know. I don't know what he could have been. He's an American, so he wouldn't be Irish. But one of the guys could have been Irish or something. Would have added a little bit of spice to the dialogue and what was, saying. So I'm going to give the writing. I'm going to give it a 7. I'm going to give the writing a 7. I could knock it down a couple more because of some of the things that I've talked about, but I'm going to give it a solid 7. The art, the narration for me, the story is the main part always for me. If it tells the story smoothly and it you don't get confused, I think you're automatically a 7. Some of this stuff, the over texture stuff that's not really distinct, kind of knocks it down a little bit, and just the style, not really into the style too much. I don't think I'm being overly personal in that. It's in my own personal estimation. I think I'm trying to keep an objective opinion, but the style just doesn't fit for me. If you're into this kind of thing, you might love the style and you might think it's fantastic. So that part is a little bit opinionated. Well, it's all opinionated, but I'm gonna give the art a 7. I'm going to knock everything up. No, I'm going to keep it a 7. So I'm going to go Bloodfire #1 from Lightning Comics from 1993. I'm going to give it a 7. Would I buy another one? Would I buy Bloodfire #2 if I saw it in the dollar bin? Yes, I would. I'm surprised to say that. Before this, I thought it was a black and white power comic that I probably wouldn't get another issue of, but reading it now, I'm kind of interested to see if the artist does progress, and I think I would. Also, it's got this fancy cover, this foil cover, which is kind of cool. So if you're into that, check it out, because I would recommend it. Some of the things that I've said about it. But anyway, Bloodfire #1, I'm giving a 7. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, this is what I go over. Go over indie comics from the 70s, 80s, 90s, whenever, really. A lot of power comics, a lot of weird stuff, but also Marvel and DC books or whatever, really. So anyway, thanks for watching. But like I said, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and all of that cool, fun stuff. And but more than that, I love comments. Anybody that's read Bloodfire, especially anybody that's read all of the issues of Bloodfire. Does anybody out there have all 13 or 15 issues of Bloodfire? I would really love to hear you say what enticed you to buy all of them, and did you really like the book overall and what you thought of it, or do you guys not like it? Do you think it's a power comic but not enough of a power comic to be a power comic? Let me know that. I would really love to hear that. Love to hear your comments about everything, because I love to talk about comic books with you guys. And there we go. So thanks for watching. It's Friday. Might have a video with Joe. I've got an idea, but we will see. And anyway, there we go. Bloodfire #1, getting a 7 for me. Thanks for watching, and keep on creating.